Hello, everyone. We welcome you to this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling. We are glad to be back with you once again. We're still in the midst of the winter of 2015, this particular show being taped during the month of February. And I tell you, we've had some threats of snow, almost snow, a little bit of snow, sleet and ice, and on the day of this taping, they're talking about 3 to 6 inches. We'll tell you the next time we come back to do a show what happened. But anyway, in our first segment today, we thought it was so important to talk about health with our in-house doctor, Dr. Donnie Patterson of Einstein Medical Center, because the flu is going rampant across the nation, and it seems that the flu vaccine isn't working as well as it has for other strains of the flu. But let me not get into the technicalities. We'll let Dr. Donnie do that. We also want to talk to her about measles. Then we're going to turn the page in the program, and we have Reverend Jerry Cousins coming forward to talk about an organization called NOMO. What's NOMO? He'll tell you when he joins us. Stay with us. We'll be right back with our first guest. Here we go. We're moving forward with this edition of News You Can Use. And, you know, when I think about health issues and I got Dr. Donnie sitting by my side, there's about 50 that I really want to talk about. But 2 that I'm hoping you will cover amongst whatever else you want to do. And this time we have the flu, because it seems to be a little bit out of control this flu season. And measles seem to be a little bit, it's getting scary.
Absolutely. So the influenza we talk about every year. And so we'll find out if you got your flu shot this year. But we talk about it every year because 26,000 people a year die of influenza. So it's something big, and I think that people take it for granted. And so starting in the spring, scientists, they study what might come for the fall because they have to prepare ahead of time. So, you know, it's really hard to prepare 6, 7, 8 months in advance. So they put together formulations of strains that they think may follow the trend, and they put it into a vaccine, and then they have enough vaccine ready for us come September, October, November. So if they miss, then some years they're dead spot on it, and then some years they're not quite as on it. So there's multiple things in the flu shot. There's multiple different strains of the influenza virus in the flu shot. So if there's multiple viruses that are out, then if you get type A and I get type B, and the vaccine doesn't have A, you might get it, but I might be safe. So that's why some people get it and some people don't, but it's still very important to cover yourself from influenza because it's very serious. And if you have COPD, if you have asthma, if you're a smoker, if you're a diabetic, highly recommended that you get influenza because it's going to hit you harder. And, you know, I was just mentioning to you that my own realtor got influenza, and now she's in the ICU, and then she had a stroke on top of that. So, you know, once your immune system is down, things can you know, trickle down and happen. So it's real, and it's happening to people that you and I both know. I mean, I remember you actually had the influenza that year. That really put you down.
Yes,
you
it
lost
did
weeks.
put me down. It did.
You lost weeks behind that, and thank
Yeah.
God you're okay. Thank God you're okay, but you're otherwise healthy, and some people don't recover.
Don't recover. Now, with the flu, the things that we can do to try to prevent getting it, it's simple little things like washing our hands very often, every day, having the little disinfectants and or hot soap and water, hot water and soap.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So if you work around people and you're touching people, especially little kids in daycares and things, constantly be washing your hands. Warm soap.
You just see
and
me
water
when
is
I'm
best.
riding SEPTA, and if I don't have my gloves, which of course I should have my gloves as cold as right, I'm like taking my hand like this, like to hold on to the back. Germs galore.
Absolutely. Try to keep from touching your face, and try to make sure that your workspace has at least a little bit of ventilation. You can turn your desk so that you know everyone is not coughing and sneezing in your face. But there's just little things like washing your hands and not going to work when you're sick. So many people still go to work when they're sick.
Yeah, I was guilty of that for years, because I always wanted to show my bosses that you could depend on me.
Right.
And I would come to work sick as a dog. I came to work with pink eye once.
Right.
I was in my 20s, so what did I know? I was dumb back then, right? Cody Anderson said, if you don't get out of this building right now, and he sent me home nice and quick and fast.
Right.
A pink eye, are you kidding me?
Right.
But yeah, I always wanted to come to work, sick or not, to prove that you could depend on me. But that's stupid thinking.
I think a
You're
lot
making
of
everybody
us
else
are
sick.
like that. But if you really think that you may be infectious, you're coughing
home.
up, you have
Stay
fevers
home.
or chills, really should stay
Stay
home
home.
because you may spread it to someone that may not recover.
Exactly,
You may
exactly.
spread it to someone.
I've been on public transportation and somebody's coughing, kind of nearby. I'm trying to move, even if it means I don't have a seat. I am moving. The same with a movie theater or at a concert or a play, and somebody is sitting near you and they're coughing. I'm sorry. I gotta move if they can't move because I'm thinking about the germs that keep flying out.
Absolutely. In the same way that Cody Anderson did that for you, we need to think about it for our young people that are underneath us. We have to teach them, listen, okay, I appreciate you coming in, but really you're putting us all at risk and you need to go home. He was smart.
Absolutely.
He was
Right,
smart
right,
by
right,
teaching
right.
us that.
Now the measles. Now I know I had chicken pox when I was a little girl. My sister and I had it back to back. My children, back to back. I mean, as soon as you get finished with one, you're home almost a month with the one, then the next one comes and gets it. Now this measles thing, I never had measles. My sister didn't have measles. My children haven't had measles. How, this measles piece, how's that happening?
Well,
Started in Walt Disney World?
yes, it did. It did. Well, I mean, measles has been out for centuries and
Yes.
centuries, but there was a time in the 50s where we could say, okay, it's been eradicated. There have not been any, there might be one or two cases, but nothing that was considered an epidemic here in the U.S. And so we said that measles was eradicated, and that's because of the vaccine. It literally wiped out the epidemic of the measles. And so what happens is you may have people that were not immunized or that their immunization has waned, meaning that it's gone away, and they may be traveling from another country. So that's what they believe happened in Disneyland, where someone traveled and they weren't vaccinated, and then the little kids who didn't have their full vaccination, because you don't get the MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine until you're 2, and so. There's a series of them. You get one at 2, you get one at 4, and these children were younger, and there may be some older people who they didn't have the immunity for it, and so they got the measles.
That's a little bit scary. Now, I think my sister and I had the measles vaccination back 100 years ago when we were getting all the other shots. But nowadays, do parents get to choose that? That's a choice whether or not you want to get your child vaccinated?
So it's always been a choice, but we've been very good about
it's a choice, but if you don't get it, you can't take them in certain schools.
Exactly,
too, right?
exactly. It's always been somewhat of a choice. And then, but what happens is something that's called herd immunity. So if there's 10 people in a group and 8 people got the vaccination, but 2 didn't, they're probably going to be safe, because where are they going to get it from? Because the majority of people were immunized. But when people travel in and you have people that have never been immunized because they're too young to get it, then it's scary. So there haven't been any outbreaks in New Jersey. There have been a few in Pennsylvania. So we just encourage people to make sure that you know what your status is. If you're not sure what your MMM status is, you can easily ask your doctor to do a blood titer, and then just get re-immunized. And if you are around children, you should absolutely, even if in a daycare, church, anywhere, you should absolutely make sure that you know what your titers are. And we highly recommend that you talk to your family doctor about getting all your immunizations up to date, because there's a reason for it.
Yes. I want to flip the page again for just a second and talk about a celebrity in the news, child of a celebrity, Bobbi Kristina Brown. How sad. My thought, though, in my very limited medical knowledge, to be on life support I always was told if you're on life support for more than 10 days tops, it's really not looking good at all. And this young lady, 21 years old, Bobby Christina, has been on life support for over 10 days at the time of the taping of this show. Sure. What is your thought, medically speaking, understanding, of course, that you've not had an opportunity to examine Bobby Christina
Sure.
yourself?
Sure. Well, life support, it's a little tricky because it just depends why you're on. I've had people that have had certain type of strokes, the bleeding type of stroke, and they'll come out of it after a couple of weeks. And then other people have what we call embolic strokes, where it's like more like a blood clot. Those people tend not to wake up. I have people that have had concussions. They fall and hit their head. They may be in concussion for a week, and then their brain, the swelling goes down, and then some people do wake up. Yes. Well, my understanding is that Bobby Christina was doing drugs, and so, you know, she has some damage from there. So, you know, very frequently people don't come back from that. The damage is already done, whether she had, you know, little mini strokes or, you know, other kind of damage to her brain. My understanding is that usually people don't come back from that.
Oh boy, well, we're going to continue to wish her well, wish the family well, and I believe in the power of prayer, so I'm going to be praying. I know you do too,
yes.
Doctor.
I'm not God,
she's
so
a young life,
God
and
can do anything.
I was hopeful for her that even in the loss of her mother, that in some way her life, she could shine and do some positive things as she matured in her life. Yeah. So as we get ready to close out on this segment, pick one that you want to share in 50 seconds or less.
Sure, sure. I just want to remind people about frostbite. I think we don't take it seriously. Just walking from here to the car, you can get damage. There's about 4 different types of frostbite. From just very superficial to where you get the white of your skin to the deep to the bone, freezing of the tendons. Just remember, wrap up your children, wrap up yourself. Don't expose yourself to it. If you see very, very dry patches, it can be the beginning of frostbite. And to really take care of yourself, because it's your body's way of shutting down blood vessels to shunt blood to the core vessels. So just take care of your extremities, because people can lose limbs.
All right, Doc, give us your closeout that you do when you are on your own set doing your tips for health.
Absolutely. So I say, I'm Dr. Donnie Patterson, and I wish you the best of health, but if you can't be the best, you can be better.
I like that. Thanks, Doctor. Love you much.
Love you too.
All righty, and we're going to keep things moving as we go forward on this edition of News You Can Use. Up next, Reverend Jerry Cousins joins us, and he's going to talk about NOMO. Stay with us.
LaSalle University's Communication Department, students learn to think and do.
Every semester, communication students create and implement public relations plans for local nonprofit organizations.
And journalism students produce Germantown Beat, an online news source for the local community.
It's great that we can apply what we learn in the classroom in our community.
Philadelphia is the nation's 4th largest media market and has 4 major sports teams.
Being in a major media market allows us to gain great professional experience through internships and co-ops.
The Communication Center is home to the university's cable station.
LaSalle TV reaches over 350,000 homes in Philadelphia and airs mostly student-produced programming.
Our communication department is ranked in the top 10 in North America for relational communication research.
But keeping with the tradition of the De La Salle Christian Brothers, teaching students comes first.
Think, do, with LaSalle Communication. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter.
I know what it's like to grow up in a world that looks at you very differently. Every day, many children with physical imperfections and deformities courageously face the world. Together with the Caring for Kids program from the Plastic Surgery Foundation and the Hannah Storm Foundation, there is hope. With your help, these children can get the medical procedures they need, regardless of their ability to pay. Help a child in need at thepsf.org/kids.
Something's not right.
My first symptoms were
constant tingling in my toes.
Had double vision. They said you have multiple sclerosis.
Kind of had to get a grasp on reality.
I had to adapt and change very rapidly.
I had to learn how to drive with my hands. Yeah, that was interesting.
A symptom may cause you not to be able to do that anymore. And at one point,
I wasn't able to do any of those.
Since I've been cycling, it's definitely helped my walking.
It's a fantastic opportunity to be working together with a common goal of curing MS, and sharing is the key.
Here we go as we continue with this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling. So glad to be with you. And sitting by my side is a gentleman that I have known probably 30 years.
Oh, yes.
Probably about 30 years, because we've been around that long. And I've watched you doing great community work and political work and all of that. And I sort of came on the heels of you and some others, and watching you all and studying you all to learn also how to do some community work and political work, and it's been a positive, great experience.
Sure has.
Yeah.
This has been wonderful.
And it's wonderful to reconnect with you and to find out that you're involved with this organization, NOMO. And I'm using the short version of the organization name, No, N-O-M-O, M-O, NOMO. But the full name is?
New Options, More Opportunities. And it was NOMO. At first, it just was NOMO. And Steve Pena, the executive director's wife, said, "That's stupid. We needed something more substance." Because Doc wanted to no more, like no more drugs, no more bad healthy eating, no more bullying, no more obesity. So it has its punch to it, but we had to clarify what is new options, more opportunities. Because when you have new options how to eat, new options how to act, you have new opportunities.
So would you consider NOMO like an educational force, basically? You're going to be rolling out community forums such as the one you did at the Francis Myers Recreation Center in Southwest Philly a few weeks ago?
It started out in 2005 as going to schools, educating young people about staying away from drugs and alcohol. And then we got a 501c3 in 2013. And Doc wanted to be a little bit deeper. So we just not only go to the schools now, but we wanted to have forums, workshops, things of that ilk that would really impact kids between kindergarten and 6th grade. We got to take care of the babies. And if we get to the babies, we can save a lot of children from not growing up to be teenagers out of control. So with the several initiatives that he had, bullying was one, obesity is another, piggybacking on First Lady Obama's program on changing the way young people eat. And then that spun into healthy eating. And then Doc wants to do gardening. That, you know how we used to have in school, we used to have our little styrofoam cups with the dirt in it and grow the string beans, then tear up your mother's yard trying to grow some peppers. So he wants to get back into that in the schools. And then he has several initiatives, drugs and alcohol, but conflict resolution. How do you stop from getting in fights and mishaps? So,
well, I thought I knew everything that there was to know about bullying up until I came to the community forum that happened to be free that you all hosted a couple weeks ago, like I said. And February the 4th, to be exact, you hosted this in Southwest Philly. And I learned so much new information that day. It was an excellent presentation, well put together, great speakers, great program. And then the dialogue from the audience, from parents and caretakers of children and professionals who work with children, to just hear the different brands of bullying. But all of it, at the end of the day, is hurtful. It's hurtful.
What I did not want to do is have talking heads. I don't want a panel. I don't want someone taking over. You notice that all the speakers, everyone we had scheduled had a part, and that was it. Because we wanted a dialogue with those who were there, the participants. So we invited folks, we invited bullies. There were old bullies. They wanted to come and hear about.
There were some bullies up in the room.
There were some bullies in the room, and they were confessed bullies. They called themselves a bully, and I want to know why I did it. And there were people who were bullied. There were grandmothers there whose children had been bullied. There were folks, in fact, our new pictures that we just received from Dr. Cirillo, who was there, who has the Teach Anti-Bullying website. Sent us some pictures today, and we have people that were crying when they looked at this presentation. Because it's a moving, emotional piece. And we even had mental health professionals there because folks are greatly affected by it.
And I guess it took me I don't know where I missed the story. How did I miss this story? I know about the bullying piece. I know it's bad. I know it's a problem in our nation. I know that there's kids that are hurt by this thing. But somehow or another, I missed the story that so many children end up committing suicide because of bullying. I mean, I knew that there was some level of suicide because of bullying. But by the time I got finished with your forum, I'm like, wow.
You can see, it's like
and that's for Dr. Torillo's presentation.
His
again.
presentation was
all those
marvelous.
pictures.
Because I found it's just like getting a new car. You buy this new car, you've never seen it that much. As soon as you get one, you see all these cars like yours. It's the same thing. As soon as I got exposed to this whole idea of bullying and start researching for like 3 months, it was popping up everywhere on television with the football team, and then you find political bullying. You find rites of passage bullying. You know, folks are joining fraternities and joining sororities and joining clubs. They have to go through this rites of passage bullying. And there was so many types of bullying, I just stopped. Because it was, I mean, I think I came up with 25 in our book, and it just went on and on. Because it is a core problem. And it starts either at when you grow up, or it's a learned behavior. Because some folks have been okay for a while, and then all of a sudden, they start moving up, as Dr. Cirillo talked about. They start moving up in the world. They start feeling themselves, so they become bullies. And it's amazing the mentality that folks have to have. Is it mean-spirited? Maybe. Is it psychological? Sure. But there's so many components to it. But it is a prevalent thing in our society today, and folks are dying from it, especially our young people.
So now, if people want to know more about NOMO, they want to become engaged with your group, if they want to see if you'll come out and replicate what you did at the Francis Recreation Meyer Center up in another part of the city, maybe it's Germantown, maybe it's Northeast Philly, and they want a no bullying forum. Can they come through you guys? Even if you can't end up saying at the end of the day, well, we'll come and do the whole thing. Maybe you can just give them some advice?
Sure. We have a website. Our website is NOMO Foundation. Actually, NOMO Foundation, all one word, .org. And you'll go and open up the page if you Google it, and it'll come up new options, more opportunities. You click onto that, and then you can write to us and tell us what you want. It's on one of our drop-down boxes. You can hit it. You'll write to us, send us an email. There's no really particular telephone number. I use my own personal telephone number for this NOMO bullying forum, and it was all kinds of calls. I had to block some calls. So we're moving now. We're moving from one location to another. As a matter of fact, we now have 2 locations, so we're in a transition period. But if they go to the website, and it just exploded. Our website has all of the pictures and all of the video about the forum on it. It talks about the forum. And just go to our website, nomofoundation.org.
Well, there was one young lady at the forum who, just before lunch, I want to say, she performed.
Yes.
She sang, Zakia.
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 Zakia. Say Zakia because she
Get it right?
Yeah.
Zakia. And her mother came with her, escorted her there. And this young lady was just fabulous. Just had a birthday, too. I think she just turned 15.
Yes.
Anyway, long story short, we did invite her to be on the show today. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to get here in a timely fashion, so we can't have her. And it would have been so perfect, such a perfect fit to end this conversation by spotlighting a young person who's been through the bullying experience more than once. She gave her testimony that day at the event. She's
sure
just so mature, a mature young lady.
And instead of taking her anger out and becoming a bully herself, she said clearly, which really brought tears to her eyes, she took that energy, made a song, Walk in My Shoes, and then she sang it, and then we had her sing it again.
Exactly. And that's why when I asked about her coming on this show, I was absolutely convinced she'd be a great guest because we are LaSalle TV. We're not the Oprah Winfrey Show. We're not Channel 6 Action News. We don't have some of the amenities perhaps that the big name studios would have. So when we're doing something, we got to roll and get it done, you know. We don't have the big staff and all of that. We just make it happen. But I knew she could do it because I saw how professional she was the day of the event. She sang that song and she did it. And then right after she finished, TV station walked in and you all said, do it again. And she just didn't hesitate, didn't skip a beat. I said, this young lady, she can fit in on this show. My executive producer will be cool with it. It'll work. This will be great. But everything happens for a reason. Yes. So we can't have her today, but I am believing that we will have an opportunity to have her in the month of March. We hope we'll be able to share her with all of our viewing audience because the young lady has something going on.
She's
she really
on our
does.
website.
She's on the website, and she's on her way to top stardom. I'm believing it. And at some point in time, I'm going to look on TV, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's getting a Grammy. She was on my TV show.
And I want an autograph.
Yes, we want an autograph, and we want seats, too.
That's right.
But anyway, before we do run out of time, with the few moments that we have left, I do want to recognize the gentleman that you're working for these days, if that's okay.
Sure.
City Councilman David O. He is a marvelous lawmaker and individual. I had an opportunity to spend 2 hours one-on-one with him recently, taking him to some Asian-owned businesses in the heart of North Philly. And because of him, he made a way for me now. I can go to all those businesses for the first time in almost 2 years and really be able to communicate and have a level of respect now with that part of our community. They didn't know me before, and I don't care how many times I came in with flyers talking about what the City of Philadelphia Commerce Department has to offer to them. They would blow me off.
Right.
But since I walked in with David O, I got some credibility.
Yeah.
So
He's a bridge builder.
Yeah.
And I love the way he does business because he wants to bring business to the city. He wants our communities at large to be whole. And he's a bridge builder. He wants folks to communicate from every ilk. And I just love how he does his business. And before I was meeting him about the NOMO project, and he said, well, by the way, why don't you come and be my project manager and do some things for me?
Need you to do some positive stuff in the office.
Yeah, so
okay.
God be the glory.
So you're to God be the glory. I know
God
that's
be the
right.
glory.
So you're doing city councilman at large, working in his office. You are a minister.
Yes.
A licensed minister.
Yes.
And do you have your own church? Are you pastoring
No,
somewhere?
I'm an associate at Mount Zion Baptist Church of Holmesburg.
Zion. Okay,
Yes.
very good, very good. And now with the nonprofit and helping to make that happen, along with Steve Pina, Dr. Tommy Reed,
Yes.
and other good folks that have the same kind of vision, that understand that we got to make a difference for our community, and it has to start with us.
Absolutely.
We can't wait any longer for anybody else to come in and do for us. We got to do it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, give us that website address one more time, please.
NOMOFoundation.org.
Okay, I thank you for coming,
Thank you,
and
Sarah.
appreciate your lovely wife for escorting you
Yes,
here this evening
yes.
to make
Don't
sure you
never
got here
leave
safely.
home without her.
Don't leave home without her. That's right, that's right. All right, folks, and we want to remind everybody that if you never loved Philadelphia before, it's time that you start loving Philadelphia right now. Philadelphia has it going on. The summer of 2015, we've got the NAACP convention coming. September, we've got the Pope coming. And next year, the Democratic National Convention 2016, we got it going on. Keep your dial where it is, LaSalle TV 56 and Verizon 36. Take care, everyone.